Welcome back to Just Saying. Parenting, work, life, it can all feel like an epic battle someday. But what if I told you fantasy stories aren't just about faraway kingdoms and fiery breathing beasts? They're about us, ordinary people facing extraordinary odds. Today on Just Saying, I'm talking with J.F. Monroe, a mom, dreamer, and an author of the legendary Guardian fantasy series. Her books reimagine ancient myths through the lens of a human connection and resilience. Plus, she writes with humor, heart, and even a four-legged hero that steals the show. If you've ever wanted to escape into a story that feels larger than life, but still hits close to home, stay tuned, because this episode is full of finding redemption, friendship, and a little magic in the chaos of real life. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back. And I'm here today with J.F. Monroe. She's the author of the legendary Guardian fantasy series. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to
I
be here.
appreciate you coming on to my tiny little show. Now I was telling you that I'm excited to learn a little bit more about your books because I'm just really into books right now. I just really am want to soak up all the authors and I'm just I don't know. Something about it is just I just cannot get enough. So I'm excited to have you on. Let's talk a little bit about let's just get to know you a little. Let's meet you, if you don't mind sharing, how your journey as a writer began.
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, I've been telling stories since I could remember. As a kid, I was obsessed with fantasy worlds. I think it started as soon as the third grade. We read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe
Of
by
course.
C.S. Lewis.
Yes.
So any place where ordinary people can just do really wild and extraordinary things always kind of captured my attention and focus. And so I would use notebooks and focus on characters, snippets of dialogue. World building wasn't my jam at the time, still isn't, to be perfectly honest, which is funny because I chose to write a fantasy romance novel where world building is pretty huge. Um, and though, life kind of took me down a more practical path for a while, the creative itch just doesn't really go away. It's not how it works. So one day I just kind of decided to stop waiting for like the perfect time and stop saying like, "Oh, I'll get to it eventually," and
Yeah.
just started to write. And it slowly became this trilogy that came from that.
Wait, can I ask you a question? So your books are what age bracket is your book?
I would say 18 plus.
Okay, for some reason, please don't hate me. For some reason, I was so on the side that I thought that they, I thought there was some reason I read that it was, for like 8 and 13 or something. So no,
No.
okay, so this is a grown up fantasy. That's
Yes.
kind of like Twilighty kind of thing. That's kind of interesting. Well, that's got like that's I don't know what we
Yes.
call that a genre. Um,
That's young adult. I
okay.
think they would aim for young adult. This is a little bit more on the adult side, I would say, but 18, they're still young. You can still do it.
School dude, like 16, like is pretty old nowadays. Let me just say.
I know. I know.
It's kind of sad. Well, I mean, I graduated high school when I was like 17. I was one of those September babies. So, when June came around, I was only 17 years old. I was still a baby.
Yeah.
I think
October
I was,
baby.
though. I thought I wasn't. I thought I was all grown. Turns out I wasn't. Okay. So, oh, that's so interesting. Okay. So, what inspired you to write the legendary Guardian trilogy?
Maternity leave, believe it or not. I was so I want to say 7 years ago, give or take, because my son is 7 right now. Um, I was on maternity leave. I was you know how it is. You're kind of just in the house, not really doing much. I was watching movies, binge watching TV shows, and I was watching a show and they brought up the Four Horsemen. And the concept was that the Four Horsemen can communicate through to these individuals that were the main characters of the show through human vessels. And I don't know why that just stuck in my head, but it did. I found that incredibly fascinating. Like, I've always been drawn to the tension between like power and humanity and destiny versus free will. And this show kind of like dabbled in that a little bit, but it didn't go to the place that I wanted it to go. And so started um, this concept for the Legendary Guardians that turned out eventually to be a trilogy. I had not intended for it to be a trilogy. My plan, which you'll learn very soon as I continue talking, was never a plan, is just write and see where it goes. And so it just turned into three books instead of one.
Was your editor
And it was
like,
pretty
dude,
exciting.
you've got 3 books here?
They probably would have. I am an indie publisher, and so I am everything in one. And so yes, I was probably telling myself like, "What are you doing? Why is there 3 books here and not one book like you had originally thought?" But it was great. It just worked out that way, and honestly, there's no complaints on my end. It went the way it was supposed to.
Interesting. Okay, so your first book was built on the Four Horsemen mythology, right?
Yeah,
So
the
that
trilogy.
the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, so what are your books? They're obviously, what are the names of your books? They're all different though, correct? They all have this. They're all the trilogy, but they're all a different name, right? Or no?
Absolutely. So it's the Legacy of the Four trilogy.
Excuse
And
me.
then it is The Legendary Guardians Reunions is book one. Book two is Descent into the Voidheart. And then book three is not out yet. I'm still working on that one, but I do have a working title in place that I'm pretty excited about to wrap it up.
Wait a minute. You said the Void Heart. That's the last one you're working on, or
Descent
no?
into the Voidheart is the second book.
Is the
It's out
second one.
already. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a little spoiler on a glimpse of of that book? Maybe just a little. Why
Yeah,
don't you
absolutely.
start with the Four Horsemen? Let's give us a little idea, a little taste of what to expect in that book. I know you don't want to give away too much, but let's start with the first one though.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is just set in a world where basically humans, angels, and demons exist under a peace treaty held together by the Four Horsemen, who are presented as these legendary guardians tasked with protecting humanity from destruction against, we don't know, just war. And so one of my main characters, whose name is Shade, she's kind of forced back into this world that she kind of tried to leave behind when her childhood best friend Theo returns after 10 years. Only now he is the vessel for the horsemen of death. And he's carrying a ridiculous amount of power, and he takes her with him. All of book one is him basically reuniting the other horsemen and taking her on a journey to stop this great looming threat that is upon them. And that is the majority of book one. That's reunions in a nutshell, is the just the like coming together, the reunion of the Four Horsemen because they're all kind of separated.
So
So
they're
it
on a
sets the stage. Yeah, they're going on a
kind
quest.
of, I'm kind of for. Don't ask me why, but all of a sudden, never ending story just went into my mind. You
Never
know how
just yeah,
like they're on a quest. Like I don't know why. I just love that. I love that movie, but
I
or
love
the
that movie
book or
too.
whatever. But I never read the book. But for whatever reason, that just came into my mind, and I because that's the type of fantasy that I'm envisioning here with your book. Kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
on board. You remind me of my stepdaughter. Jordan. She's 32. I don't know how old you are, but she was very into this. Same like you. Like I think she could probably write a book, but she probably feels like I did. I don't. I always felt like I wasn't smart enough, or I didn't have what it took to write a book until I did it. And now I'm starting to write a romance novel, which is a little bit different. Are your books kind of a mix of genres, or do they have romance, right? Or no?
Yeah, it's a fantasy romance.
A fantasy romance. I don't know what I would call mine. Mine is like, I don't know anything about this is why I'm doing these podcasts so I learn more. But my romance is like 49 shades of gray. a
Okay.
little steamy, but it's like a relationship type book, and then it has a little bit of thriller in it. Um and like mystery in a way. Kind of
A
like not too
mystery
much mystery,
romance.
but yeah, so I don't know what mashup you'd call that. Like I don't know. Do you call it like romance thriller romance? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would probably say like a romance thriller. I think we can get by with saying that, mashing those two together. I like that.
And mine, I want to kind of do like a trilogy as well. I think there's 3 books, and I mean I am like anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent on myself, but
It's
I'm
okay.
really interested in the process of writing, why you like, what started you. And I'm happy that we kind of went there first and just explore why, like, not everybody, see, so you grew up writing and journaling and looking and fantasizing and all the storytelling and like, probably walked around the house talking to yourself. Like my stepdad.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, my children do that. They're very creative. They walk around the house and they're like having a full on like play session with themselves in a whole fantasy with a bunch of different people that I can't see.
That's it. That's
And
what I do.
so yeah, and so but me, I never was like that. I never really knew I was creative until I realized I was creative. I mean, it came a point where I was like, I like to create things. I just don't like to run them. Like I like to create businesses. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to create lots of businesses. I just don't like to run them. I want
Yeah.
to help people start their own business. I just don't want to run it for them. But so there's different types of writers out there. You are somebody like my stepdaughter and my children that are very creative from the onset. And then there are people like me that stumble onto it and are like, I'm actually pretty good at writing and the story is coming out. It's just oozing out of me, And there's different type of writers out there. So if you're out there thinking I might want to write a book, you have it in yourself. All you have to do is sit down and start it. That's all it takes. You know what I mean? And if
Yeah.
you're like Miss Monroe here, you've probably got a lot of stories hidden in your back pocket that you just forgot about. Just revisit those, right? So
Absolutely.
so you have a German Shepherd character in
I
your book?
do have a German
See,
Shepherd
you didn't know
character.
I knew that, right?
Yeah.
It adds a little bit of warmth, right? So what role does loyalty play in your stories? Like,
Oh
because
my gosh.
dogs are loyals, right? They're very loyal.
Yes. Yes. That dog is the beating heart of my trilogy. And I knew that very, very early on when I wrote it. I knew I wanted an animal companion of some sort. And it just unraveled from there. And so the way I see it is loyalty for me is what grounds the chaos of fantasy. So when you are dabbling in fantasy, a big thing that you need to do, especially for the readers, unless you want to go like all just crazy and have dragons flying around and not really have any emotional attachment or
Right,
connections, but like
right.
you do need amidst the apocalyptic forces or divine politics or whatever you're writing about, the loyalty, and in my case of the German Shepherd, reminds the characters and the readers um, what's worth fighting for, right? Like it gives them that reminder. It's a constant reminder that, love and connection. And again, in my case with the German Shepherd, just because I'm a dog lover. And I think
Mhm.
that's like a very pure form of love.
Is the German Shepherd your favorite dog? Is that why you use
It
German
is.
Shepherd? Okay.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is. Absolutely.
I put French Bulldog in my story, and his name is Ricky Bobby, named after my dog, Ricky Bobby, who is a French Bulldog.
Great. Yes. So like you get
He's
it.
a farting, and I kind of explain him as like a drunk sailor, kind of like wafting into the room like he owns the place. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Nope. I describe Mac as like he's very goofy. He
Mhm.
almost has like a humorous side to him, but he can get serious when we need him to be like on point and
First of
serious and
all,
goofy.
German Shepherds are freaking smart, dude. They are the smartest dog. My grandma had a German Shepherd named Rambler, and you could throw a rock because she lived in Paradise before, well, long before there was fires in Paradise in California.
Mhm.
And we would pick up a rock, and we go, here you go get it, and we'd throw it into the woods, like far, and that dog would bring that same rock back because it had your scent on it. He was so smart. And, I'd never seen a dog ever do that before. I mean, it's just bright. They're very bright. So I'm sure that helped you in the story because then he is a smart character, right?
He's a smarty pants. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's good. I'm glad I see you gotta have dogs in there, and it breaks up the levity, and there's a lot to it. And so that's awesome that you did that. Okay. Um, I have a list of questions because I think that, if I don't, then because I want to learn more about your book. So I did write a bunch of, so this is, so bear with me while I read this. Um,
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm happy
okay,
to.
I've heard you compared your book to The Hunger Games or Lord of the Rings, which, by the way, love those. How do you balance epic scale with personal emotional storytelling?
Yeah, so oh my gosh, just to be clear, I don't compare to The Hunger Games
Okay,
or Lord of the Rings.
come
I
on
take
now.
themes, I
It
borrow my themes from them.
Mhm. It could be like, it could be in
Yeah,
the same vein. It
yeah.
can be so I would say compared. I would compare. So
Okay,
just say.
you know what? Let's do it. Let's compare, right?
I
So
say compared.
let's do it. Let's keep it going. What I like to do is I focus small, if that makes sense. So, like, even in massive worlds where you have like gods and fantasies and maybe even dragons or something like that, the heart of the story is always human. And that's where I pull from like Lord of the Rings, The Hunger Games, just because in my head at that time, at least, that was those were two of the best depictions I could think of. You know, it's about two people having a quiet conversation before the battle, or someone making a choice that's going to cost them everything. I think readers connect more deeply when the stakes are emotional as much as they are cosmic, right? And so, like with Lord of the Rings, you have this hobbit, this unassuming, ordinary, you know, person who goes off on an absolute crazy journey and winds up doing the most heroic things possible. Or a starving girl from, the worst district stepping up to the plate for her sister and becoming, a signal of the rebellion. So, like that ordinary, the extraordinary and the ordinary is a huge theme for me. I just feel like those two pieces of work do it very, very well. And
Yeah,
so I try to
they're all,
emulate
I
it.
mean, that's like, first of all, I love well, I'm a movie person, but I will watch trilogies or I will watch series of movies over and over and over again. I've watched Lost like 5 times. I've watched 3 times I've watched Game of Thrones. And I
Game
think
of
I've
Thrones
watched
hurts me.
I know it's a hard one to watch, but I liked it. But I've seen the Hunger Games, I don't know, so many times. I love it. And same thing with Lord of the Rings. And Harry Potter, all of them. I am big on all of
Fantastic.
that. So I love that you're in that kind of genre, because that's a hard one actually to write. Really, you got to really, it seems like fantasy and mysteries. Those two to me seem like the hardest books.
Yes. It was very difficult, to write the
You got to
fantasy
keep it all
books.
straight too, by the way. And they
You
all got to
do
they all have to connect in some way for some reason. And you got to make it has to be like, oh, that's why that person said yada, yada, yada back in what, chapter 2 or whatever. You know what I mean?
100%. You do. You absolutely do, and that was very difficult. I kept a small notebook, um, just
That's smart.
documenting very simple, like, "You gotta remember this," you gotta make sure that you remember this. So I'll
Yeah.
keep like, little notes.
I went to when I did my each one of my chapters, I'll go, this happened, this person was introduced, this, da, 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 so that can remember, I can go back because I'll like, crap, what was that person's name? And I did find, I did find myself actually messing up some things. So on my third draft, I'm finding some of the errors, which sucks. But, I skipped ahead a little bit. I was wondering, we were talking about your first book, but tell me a little bit about the Descent into the Voidheart, because you give me
Yeah,
a little
sure.
little bit about that one too.
Absolutely. So, without giving too much away, everything Descent into the Voidheart is everything the characters thought they knew about their purpose, which was revealed in book one, Reunions, begins to unravel. So, I love to call book one almost like my set the stage book. Book two is my complete meat and potatoes. Everything that needs to happen that is explosive, that is absolutely chaotic and wild, that really puts my characters through the ringer happens in book two. So book two is like my excitement. It's not just the world is in danger, it's their humanity, their relationships, their sense of who they are. I selected Voidheart for a very clear reason. The Voidheart was not just going to be a place, it was going to be almost like a reckoning for my characters.
Um, okay, so then your third book that you're not done yet though, right?
Correct. It's in editing,
It's
which
Can you give us a little bit about where we take it in the end?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole trilogy is the journey to get to this third book. And so I kind of follow the steps of Lord of the Rings, right? So like you get the fellowship in the first one. Great. So in mind, you get the reunions. Everybody's coming together. All right, let's start the journey. We're going into Two Towers. That's the second one. So Descent into the Voidheart, that's where the meat and potatoes happen. A lot of the big plot points hit in the second one with some questions still being asked. And so then we go into Return of the King, and Return of the King does a nice, clean wrap up of the first two books of the trilogy. And so this book, which I have a working title, I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it, but that basically wraps up book one and book two and brings what I hope brings it home in a very cathartic way of
Are
like,
you
it's not
would
a
you ever think
journey, it's
about would you ever think about carrying the story on into like another set of adventures, or are you thinking doing a different? Are you going to continue writing? I mean,
Yes. So I am going to continue writing. I will say that I don't plan to continue with this particular story. This story, at least the way I have it written right now, ends with this group of people. I have considered doing potentially like little spin-off stories because
mhm.
there are certain characters that I feel definitely stand out and I've been told have stood out, that I wouldn't mind creating some more narrative around. But the story of the Legendary Guardians is going to conclude with book.
That's interesting. Yeah, because sometimes when you read a good story, I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you and me both. I went through, I mean, I'm still in the editing process, so I'm not like totally withdrawing from it. But when I finished the last sentence of the third book and I like sat there for a second, it was intense. Like you just like you're like, all right, it's over. What am I supposed to do now? Like what happens? So
Yeah,
it's an experience.
I mean, do you ever like are you do ever do like doing the dishes? Because I do this and I'm thinking about the characters in my book and I'm like, I can't wait to get back and keep going. Or
Of
I
course.
mean, is that just me?
No, that's where like a lot of your characters can be your motivation to keep writing. Like you're
Yeah.
so excited to get back to them because they have a story to tell and you are the one that they selected to tell it. Like, let's do it. Let's go. I'm ready.
Do you know that I wrote my ending and then I wrote an epilogue for my next book? But then I thought to myself, after I wrote my ending, and I was like, I'm not real happy with it. I think I have another chapter in me, to be honest with you, in this particular book that I might need to explore a little bit more. But in my mind, I was done with that book. And I thought to myself, wait, I can undo that. Just
Yes.
backspace.
It's so glorious when you realize like you all it is yours. Like you
Yeah.
haven't introduced it to anyone else. You can go, I've deleted pages upon pages. I deleted whole chapters. It's very liberating when you realize like, oh, I have
You're
that
like,
power. I could do
yeah, you're
that.
like, "Oh, crap, I can change that."
Yeah.
I'm not still in my drafting. I go and then I thought to myself, "Oh, I can add." So now I have 28 chapters in this first book. It's really long. It's well, romance can be thick. Um, but I'm still not done. I think I have another one, maybe two chapters. We'll see. To carry it over because I wanted to bleed into the next book, which is just like kind of a spin-off and adding to the character, adding this, keeping the story kind of on the back burner, but bringing in the new characters for the new story and kind of intertwining them. And then they'll meet in the middle a little bit, you know? I don't know if
That's
that makes
pretty
any
cool.
sense. I
Nope,
don't know.
I've read books like that. I've read books
Okay.
where it's like you meet the main characters, but they're not main characters yet. They're side characters in your first story, and then they become main characters. It's cool.
Yeah, like I have a guy was a side character in my book, and then I'm going to make him a main character in my next book, if
Yeah,
that makes any
that's awesome.
sense. But the story of the first book, you want to see how it ends, but you really can't until you get kind of maybe closer to the middle of the second book. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Okay.
does make sense. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. I just want them all to kind of bleed into each other a little bit, and then because they want to continue the story and then keep it interesting by adding new stuff too. So not keeping it boring. I don't know. I don't know. I just love talking to people that are writers because I have so many questions and I'm still so, I feel like a little baby bird and I'm just learning. And I love just taking all what you have to give me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I think too,
Absolutely.
I think anybody out there that has that thought of maybe I might one day write a book, maybe they just need to see what it's like. Somebody like me who feels insecure about her, everything, and somebody who has confidently got 3 books or, going to have 3 books done. I mean, there's a difference. You can see there's a difference between you and me when it comes to that. But somebody who's just starting off, they can see the stages. Like, there's
Yeah,
my stage, there's your stage. Does that
I've
make
been
sense?
there. No, no, I want to be completely transparent. Like I've been there. I've had like it's called if you don't have some creative doubt, then you are a superstar wizard, that I might not be human. Like everybody has those moments where you're like, what I've stared at my pages and I'm like, what the heck is this? What came out of my brain just now? Like, no, absolutely not. And
Right.
I've deleted things, but you just start small, but start, right? You don't need hours, you need moments. 10 minutes here, a paragraph there. The world doesn't pause for your dreams. I learned that very quickly. Um,
Do you
but
use an editor at all, or do you self-edit?
self edit.
I used AutoCrit for my memoir that I used. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a self-editing software, and
Heard of it, yeah.
it helps you like figure out how many times you've used the word always or something. Like, and it say take out, you have 35, take out 15 or whatever, and it'll give you like options and things. I used that for my first book before I sent it off to the editor or to the publisher, and because I wanted to send a good piece of work. I didn't want it to be, you know, and so and that helped me. But I'm worried about dialogue. I don't know if I'm writing it correctly, and I'm worried about that.
Read it out loud.
Yeah.
Yep. Read it out loud. When it's anything with dialogue, read it out loud
Well, the whole
because you're
thing
going to
feels
hear
like
it.
dialogue.
Say it again.
Does it feel like all of I have a lot of I mean, the whole thing is like 90% dialogue. I mean, there are, I'm explaining things too, but I mean, it's a lot of dialogue. And I mean, shoot, I could be writing a Netflix movie. I don't know. I don't.
You might very well.
It's for too steamy for Hallmark. I can tell you that. Um, like I said, it's 49 Shades of Gray. Just saying.
I like it.
So, okay, you could tell, like me, I love humor. I like humor in my life and I love it in my podcast. I love it in my books. So, do you weave in a little bit of humor, into your high stakes plots?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't go and it's such inappropriate humor too. I am a very different beast when it comes to humor. To me, humor is how we survive heavy things, right? And so my characters are facing like these world-ending threats, but they're still people. They're still ordinary people like you and me. So they tease, they stumble, they laugh inappropriately. Those moments allow for like the dark parts to honestly hit a little bit harder when they do happen. But
Right.
they also remind us that like heroes can be awkward and ridiculous sometimes. I've had like some of my best dialogue is because I'm like incorporating inappropriate humor into like
Right.
serious situations.
Isn't it funny, like how when you watch like Marvel or whatever, you see these grown men and then they say something like out of pocket, and you're like, "That is so funny." Like he's totally out of character in a way, but you don't
Yes,
really see that that's actually it's actually them. Really, you get
it
you
is.
get to see their humanity and their personality a little bit when they say a little something funny.
Absolutely. I actually encourage like people to incorporate humor. Just be careful because there's always a balance, right? You never want to like if you're having a serious scene, you don't want to like overkill with the humor. Um, but there's always a place for it. And I will always have it in my books.
Yeah, I think mine might have. I see. Just talking to you makes me overthink. Like, okay, wait, is mine too heavily with too much humor? I don't know.
You're romance. So you do probably what we call banter, and
Yeah,
that is
banter, lots of
always
banter.
acceptable in
Okay,
a romance.
it's lots of banter,
Yeah,
lots of banter. Not. Yeah, it's more of that. Like, but it's.
people
I
eat
try
that
to.
up.
Okay, good because it's. Yeah, I need a beta reader.
Do beta readers. Do like an arc.
I need a beta reader to read my book when I'm done. I'm gonna let my mother read it, but then I'm thinking like, I don't know if I want her to read the sexy parts because then she's gonna think like I'm some kind of, heathen. I don't know. So
No,
I
listen, our
try to.
moms are people too.
That's true. I try to say it without saying it. That's how I say it in the book. I don't say the whole. You know, I say it without
Yes,
saying it in a way. Does that make sense?
yes, it does.
So I don't know. You
So
know what? I don't know where my brain is right now. I'm just, you know what it is? It's close to closing time, and I need a new fresh cup of coffee at the end of the
hey,
day. So,
listen, what I'm hearing is excitement. And that
okay.
makes me really excited. Like, I'm excited for you. I'm like, let's go with this romance book. I am ready. I'm
I
ready for it.
mean, it's okay. So let me just say, we're gonna move on to you, but I'm just gonna say real quick, it's about a ER nurse and a hot firefighter.
Ooh, okay. I love when the female main character works in a hospital. I feel like there's so many like ways you can go with that. So I'm
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah, because there's so much yeah, I've done a lot with the hospital and then some fires, but then, they come to anyway. I really wish you could read it because I think you could tell me if I'm on the right track or not. I mean,
I will be waiting. I will be waiting for
you-
it. Let's do it.
will you be my beta reader? You'll read it for me and tell me if I'm
I will
any
be a
good.
beta reader. You
Okay.
let me know. I'm here for you, Jess. I'm ready.
I'm just a baby bird writer. Okay. Can I ask you a question? Because okay, so we have a little bit of about your books. I want to go into them a little bit more. Maybe, is there something that we missed that you want to convey about your books? Because I want to talk about you as an author.
Yeah, we can get into that.
Okay, how do you balance motherhood? You have a full time job and writing. I mean, how do you keep motivated? It's hard, right?
It is hard. It is. And for me, honestly, it was just a love for this story. So like I said, I grew up telling stories. I love stories. I live for them. But none screamed so loud as this particular narrative. It just would not go away. It would not leave me alone. Every second of every time like that I had a free minute, I was thinking about it like, oh, let me think about this for Theo and what would I do with Laz? And so writing has always been like my escape and my therapy. And I at this point in time when I got this concept, I was like, let's just do it. Let's see where it goes. Like let's take this one all the way because it's not leaving. It's not going anywhere and it's making that clear. So even when I'm exhausted, like the characters just keep whispering and I can't not write them. Like I have to get them on the page.
Because I kind of look at it like me time when I'm writing. It's kind of like I get to go in my own little world and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I do feel guilty because my husband calls it my hobby. It's like your
My
hobby.
husband calls it me time. He's like, "You're having some me time?" I'm like, "Yes, I am."
I mean, he'll probably never read my book because he's not into romance, but I mean, I guess we're lucky because we do have a husband that can take care of some of the things when we're not around. Like they can do the baths and they can do the dinners or they can help out a little bit. But there are moms out there that like think, oh, I just don't have the time. I've got kids. I've got to get up for work. I don't have time to sit there and write a book. But you gotta make time, right? You gotta allocate that time. Give yourself an hour a day, if
Give
anything.
yourself an hour, give yourself 10 minutes, a paragraph. Just get going, just do it. Like but show yourself some grace. So I'll be clear, like I give my son a bath, I feed him, I make sure he gets everything before I sit down and have me time, right? Like I can do what I want to do. And sometimes that might be pretty late, but progress doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be meaningful. And so when you do have that time, make the most of it, do what you can, but show yourself some grace because and I've been listening to you talk about it too, and I can hear it. Like you overthink, you're hard on yourself. A lot of people just starting out are very hard on themselves, me included. And once I learned that you don't got to be hard on yourself, like this isn't rocket science. You're not sending anyone up to space. You're not saving anyone's life. You are writing a book because this story wants to be told. You're going to be all right. It's just the
Did you
mindset.
read? did you read a lot of fantasy books so that you kind of knew exactly how to set it, or did you just say, you know what, I think I got this, and then
Both.
you
So I
yeah
I love fantasy, so I've always been reading fantasy. And when I decided like, "Oh no, my book's going to be fantasy romance," because that's just where it landed, I used what I knew about fantasy books that I've read and I flipped it in this book. So like every fantasy book I'm reading right now has like the morally gray character that's the main character that's grumpy and they're enemies to lovers and I'm like, "No, I won't do
Gargamel.
that." Right, exactly. Great. I was like, I'm not going to do that. They're going to be friends. They're going to have been friends and they're going to reconnect. And I started turning things on its head because I didn't want to be like, I wanted to stand away from other fantasies as best I can. There's similarities. Of course, there are. There always going to be. But where I could be different, I definitely tried to be different. And then also just see where it went.
How did you do you have any covers nearby that you can show us?
Yes. So this is the first book.
Aw, it's
There's
pretty.
Mac, my little
Who did
German
your
Shepherd.
art? Who did your artwork?
The person's name was Razia. I found them. They were a consultant on Fiverr. I don't know if you've ever heard of that website.
Yeah, I have.
Um, it was awesome. I went there and I was just like, book covers. I need a book cover apparently because this was a learning experience. Like this was a learn as you go. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I need a book cover. Where do I go get book covers? Fiverr has everything. It has people that will edit for you, people that will create book covers. And I found somebody that we had a really good rapport. And I was like, this is what I'm thinking. Like, what are you thinking? And they gave input. And so that was the first cover that they did. And then I came back to them for the second cover, which is a little darker, and that's Descent into the Voidheart.
I love the covers actually. They're kind of I like realistic kind of pictures. I don't like, you know what I mean? I like realistic. And for my romance novel, I was thinking about doing an actual picture of a hunk in the front.
That's
Like
awesome.
with muscles and all the things, you know.
That's old school. Like the what is his
Yes,
name? Oh man,
Fabio.
Fabio. Yes, Fabio. I was gonna say Fabian. Fabio. Like yes, that's
But the
so
thing,
old.
I
Old
kinda wanna
school.
do I kinda wanna do just the body and not the head because I want them to imagine what his face looks like. I don't wanna put a face on him, I want them to think, you know what I'm saying?
I do the same thing. I even when I describe my characters, I'm very light on the descriptions of them because I want my readers to kind of put who they want
Right,
where they want. Like I have my vision, but I'm not going to push that onto
right.
somebody else who might think
I
differently.
mean, I did say he had like a nice chest and his muscles. I mean, I do say that, when she's fawning over him, but I don't say like what he looks like, what is, I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna see how this rolls out. But
Yeah, keep it
um
basic, foundational traits only.
I guess some of the questions that I already have, we kind of are covered them already, but let's go back to your books because all my questions are like, we've already kind of covered them really fast. We were, you know what it is we
Wow.
got to the point before I had a chance to ask the question. But let's go back to your books. Okay. I don't have any questions on that. So let's just be real, people. I want to know a little bit. What is something that maybe we haven't touched on yet that maybe you want to convey about one, two, or three, or all three?
Sure. So one, like I said, that book kind of sets the stage, and I'll be completely honest. It was my learning experience. It was my introduction into authorhood. It was publishing, editing, marketing. Like that book went through it with me. And so I'm really proud of that book. But when you read it, you're going to find that it actually you're gonna see like my work in progress developing as I write. I don't know how to best describe it, but you'll know it when you read it. When you go into the second book, you see the confidence building. You see the narration flowing a lot easier. also book 2 is heavy on character development, which is something that I very much pride myself on. So, like, world building might be a struggle for me, writing battle scenes might be a little bit of a trying time, but character development, you know, giving these people personalities is something I absolutely love. It's a passion of mine. And book 2 really dives deep into these characters and makes you actually care for them.
Yeah.
And so book 2, just so you know, is my favorite of the trilogy. Because you get to kind of meet them in a different place.
It's all action packed too, right? There's lots of
It's all
action and
action packed, yeah.
yeah.
You get a lot of battles. I'm very big on, like, earned growth, and so, like, if you're gonna put your characters through it, if you're gonna put your readers through all of this trauma and heaviness, then you owe it to them to give them, like, that big payoff at the end. So I knew very early on, like, I'm building towards something huge. I need something huge to happen. I can't have it fizzle out or anything like that. And book 3 is the big, like, culmination of everything. And so it is absolutely, cataclysmic in how I try to portray it. I just hope I did that quite successfully. So
Is your books like a in a time period type, or is the time irrelevant to the story, or is it set back in any kind of like time? Does that make sense?
it's not set back in time. I would say modern. Like, it's
Modern?
almost like a altered earth type situation.
Yeah.
It's just
Earth
that angels
King,
and demons happen to live there too. Like,
right. What have readers, I mean, have you had you're on Amazon, right? Or no?
and
You
yes.
are.
Mhm.
Are you getting some reviews? I mean, what have your readers told you about how your books have resonated in their own struggles or, in their life? Or have you gotten what kind of feedback have you gotten?
I've gotten really great feedback. I like the reviews that I'm getting in so far. A lot of them just say that they really appreciate how ordinary the characters are. That I put them in these, like, extraordinary situations. However, they can see themselves kind of going through it, and then they go and they relate it to kind of like what they're going through in their own lives. So basically, when the story that I'm trying to tell and what I think they're trying to say is that the story reminded them to keep going even when things get hard. And that's really the moral of the trilogy is, like, these people that are in these groups just don't quit. They just keep
Kind of like the
going and it does
Goonies.
get hard. Yes. Yes.
Am I hitting all the
So
right points? Because I'm telling you, it just sounds like that in a nutshell. But that was because that's me. I'm an '80s girl, so that's this.
no, it
That's
does.
like
It's
I'm
very
giving you
heavy.
two '80s fantasies, Never Ending Story and the Goonies. If that tells you
Goonies
anything,
never stayed.
I'm totally Gen Xer.
You're so funny.
So
Also,
funny.
80 movies are awesome. So
They
yes,
are
the
awesome. I
Goonies
mean,
are
they're so hokey though, but if you think about it, some of the storylines are just really good. You just need to be remade.
right. Absolutely.
So can I ask you a question? Who was your favorite character? I don't know. I think you told me, but I'm not sure. Who was your favorite character to write?
So that would be Laz.
Dog. Was that the dog? No, that was a dog.
It's not the dog. The dog's fun. The dog is always fun to write, but my favorite character to write was Laz. He's also known as the Sin of Sloth. Um, he was complex and he basically wrote himself. I just had the pen. I was just the messenger. He's fun and sarcastic and weirdly deep, and he walks that really razor edge line of light and dark. So I do want to just make it clear, like, I get the, love of writing that morally gray individual because it's a lot of fun to write. And that was Laz in this trilogy. He was just, he was just so much fun because I really didn't put a lot of effort into him. Like, the words just came easy. He kind of spoke for himself. Um, and I would say that Theo is probably a close second. He's the exact opposite of Laz, but his duality and perseverance really keep the story alive. He's my golden retriever with a dark side. So always fun to write.
Okay, so what was the hardest scene that you had to write?
There were two. There were multiple because some of the scenes can just be classified as battles. I get really hard on myself with balancing like action and emotion and clarity all at once. I can see it in my head very clearly, getting it on the page and getting readers to feel the chaos and the urgency on the page while also staying connected to the characters' like inner battles was a monumental challenge for me. Just because, again, I was very, like I always say, show yourself grace, but I was really hard on myself here because I just, for some reason, it wasn't clicking with me because I've never been in like a battle before. Like, like I usually try to write from experience, and here I am writing like this crazy wartime battle between angels and demons, and it was hard. But I got through it. And one scene in particular was in the book one, the reunion scene between Theo and Shade. Um, it's emotional chaos, so it's like grief and anger and love, and I don't handle that in a way that is probably like considered standard human like emotion. I am very sarcastic and I'm very like they needed to be like honest and transparent and, oh my God, I've missed you. And that's just not who I am as a person, an individual. And so I must have rewritten that like a dozen times before it felt honest to me and to the characters. That was a rough one.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, those are difficult, but do you have one that you're just like, I just love this? Like, or did you laugh through it or something that I know that when I wrote my first book, there was a chapter that I loved dearly and I laughed while writing it. I laughed every time I read it. I just love the chapter. But do you have a scene or a chapter that you just really that you think is your fave?
Yes. There is a scene in book two where they have a ridiculously epic snowball fight with a bunch of kids, and it gets me every single time just because I read through it, but I can see it in my head. And so I'm watching like their mannerisms, I'm seeing their facial expressions, and it just cracks me up. It's the snowball scene in Descent into the Voidheart. It's pretty funny.
That I love that because you could read your own books like over and over and over again. It's like one of those things you're like, and each time you're like, if I like reading it this many times, somebody else is going to have to love reading it this many times.
Exactly. Exactly. You are absolutely right. Yes.
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Because I haven't read your books, so I mean, forgive me on that. But are your characters human characters, or are they what are they like? You know how sometimes some fast fantasy has like animal characters and they're human like or whatever. So I was just
Yes.
curious.
These are human characters that embody these ancient beings. So, like Theo and Shade are human. However, Theo embodies the horseman death,
Not like
who
a
has a
or anything like that, but more of just
no,
like
not like a shapeshifter, just
essence of.
almost like a voice in the head type of situation. Like he can hear death, but death does not have like a body. He uses Theo as his catalyst, as his vessel.
Cool, interesting. Okay, so if they adapted your book to a TV series or a TV film, who would be your dream cast? have
Okay, all right. Give me a
you
second
ever
to
have
think.
you ever thought? I know I'm
I
putting you on
have,
the
I
spot.
have.
Okay.
I will tell you right off the bat, when I wrote the character of Wrath, who is the son of Wrath in the book, I wrote her as like this 18-year-old teenage redhead, freckles, bad attitude, and I immediately thought, I don't know, her name is Sadie Sink. I don't know if you've watched like Stranger Things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's the little redhead from Stranger Things.
Oh, I love her.
She's
Love her.
awesome, and I
Yeah.
immediately thought about her. I was like, she would nail this character in like 2 seconds. And so every time I think about Ras, that's who I think about. Um, Theo, he's a sweet guy. Golden retriever, a little bit of a dark side. What did I watch recently? I don't know if you've heard of him. His name is Nicholas Galitzine. He was in the movie The Idea of You with Anne Hathaway.
Okay, yeah.
Played like this like rock
I feel
star.
sorry because I could not name the names of any of the new actors out there. I would be all 80s actors. So this is a terrible question for me to ask you because I'm putting you on the spot.
That
I think
is funny. Yeah. Yeah. I think about not so much the look. 'cause I don't really the look doesn't phase me at all. I think about the impact, like how they can command the room when they're in the scene and what their personalities are like. So like even with Wrath, who's Sadie Sink, like I've seen her with attitude and I'm like, that's it. That's what it is. And then I've seen like in that movie with Nicholas Galitzine, he says something and like it'll jump out at me and I'll be like, oh, I can kind of see that as like a Theo thing to say. And so that's how I pair them.
Do you think that you would want to pursue that? And because you have to get like a broker too, but would you ever pursue maybe trying to turn this into, because we need some good movies out there. All this stuff rewriting the same freaking movies over and over. Pretty soon they're going to come out with a Goonies. And it's going to be the new and improved. And I'm like, no, I
I
want
know.
the old to stay that way. And I want new, fresh ideas and different things out there. Do you know what I mean? We need a
I do.
new Hunger Game type thing. You know what I mean? We need a new story
Yeah, yeah.
for everybody to be obsessed with. You know what I'm saying?
I listen, I would never stop it from going on the big screen at some point in time. I mean, that sounds amazing. The Four Horsemen, they've, everything has been done at least once, I think. And so the Four Horsemen have been done before. They've been in novels, they've been on TV portrayed. Um, I don't think that they have been portrayed this way in particular. If I could be so bold as to make that claim. And so I do think that it would be a nice fresh perspective on, oh, that's interesting. Okay, like
So if
you've
there's
caught my
anybody out
attention.
there perusing low end podcasts like mine, and you're looking for good books, this is one of them. Can I ask you one last final question? When you do you use any like coffee, tea, energy drinks when you're writing?
Yeah, coffee. Coffee is like my
Okay, no, I'm just
supporting
teasing.
character in the process. Like,
I
coffee.
swear I drink coffee when I'm writing, and I swear I write about coffee in my book too much. About
Coffee
it's burnt, it's
in
stale,
books,
and
it's never too much. Always write about coffee in your books. I think I might have a scene of someone drinking coffee in my book, and it's a fantasy book. So you
well,
go and you write about it.
it's they're in the hospital, so they're constantly drinking coffee. They're constantly trying to
Yes.
stay awake. They're constantly, but anyways, I find myself writing about freaking coffee too often. Anyway, I just thought I'd ask. Such a
Yep.
silly
Nope.
question.
Coffee.
Well, I just think I picked your brain all the way apart. I'm just excited for your next book to come out. And I think this is a great book for, by the time this comes out in May, this will be, um, well, I guess we probably would have passed up Easter, but it's a good book for summer and, for the kids, for a treat for the teachers to give them at the end of the school year and, not necessarily the kids, but the high school students, you know what I mean?
Oh,
uh,
definitely has to.
yeah. Do you have sexy time in your books too? No.
There's sexy time in my books. That's why it's like it's gotta be like an 18 plus age.
Okay,
I'm doing that.
there is an age advisory on this, people.
Yes,
My books for
yes.
sure are going to be 18 and older, for sure. You wouldn't want mine in the school library. I can tell you that. But I just thank you so much for like giving me your insight, and I know you can tell that I am like a little insecure about writing, but I'm gonna like this is my first one outside of my memoir that I wrote, but this is my first one that is a little bit different outside of my box. And so I thank you so much for telling me a bit about your story and your writing process and all about you really went in depth with your story. I think this is if anyone out there listening, look up her books. They're on Amazon, right? Do you have a landing page at your like a website?
Yeah, so it's gonna be, jfmonroebookshelf.com, and so you can find I have a blog on there called Beyond the Veil, but you can find the Amazon links to both books on there as well.
Okay, so also if anybody goes to my website, it's jesssaying.net. That's JESSSAYING.net. And you go to podcast and scroll down and find JF Monroe or this episode number or this episode title, which you are listening to it. So you know exactly which one that is. You click onto Miss Monroe's name and it'll take you directly to her website. And so that is just one more place out in the world of internet internets, as my dad would say, that will take you directly to her page and find out a little bit more about her. Do you have any Facebook or any type of social media?
I do. I have an Instagram and I have a TikTok, and it's very easy. It's at jf.monroe. That's it.
jf.monroe. Go like, subscribe, all the things you do when you are looking up. We all need to build our community of friends. You like her, she'll like you back. And I just want to say thank you so much for spending this almost an hour of me just talking randomly about random things and your books too. But I mean, we went all over the place on this one, people. But thank you for coming in and sharing your story with my audience. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Jess. It was an absolute pleasure.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I hope you have fun, because that's me in a nutshell. I want to have fun all the time. Okay, so people, we are all living in this world. I'm saying this after every episode. We're all in this together, this one world. So be kind to one another, and live by the commandments, would you? And be kind and have a good night. Have a good day. Whatever it is you're having, have one of those. All right. Goodbye.
Low, talking about the days we used to know. VCR tapes and dial-up tones, raising kids living with achy bones. Leather jackets and big hair days, now it's carpool lines and PTA. Neon dreams turn into schoolyard fights, but our hearts glow in retro nights. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. A nod to the past, the retro love we know will last. We dance to the beats of the boombox sound. Now bedtime stories echo all around. But deep inside, we're the mixtape kings, still fighting life with arcade dreams. A pizza slice, telling tales with a side of advice, laughing at the way